Right, well, you join me here in Oxford at the stunning Orchid Lakes. A lake that I'd came to only a couple of weeks ago with the Bartman, and it was my first time ever here as well, and we just had a phenomenal session for the end of January, just an incredible time. So I've come back down, it's middle of February, the weather is just horrible. It's the middle of February, you know, high pressure, it's cold, it looks bleak, it doesn't feel the one for carp fishing, but I've come out anyway and I'm back in the Alamo swim. I've got the rods out exactly in the same spots that I'd fished last time when I was in here, and within 10 minutes I've had an absolute result. I just cannot believe it. I'm just blown away, thinking that it wasn't going to happen. It has happened, and it's a little bit of a unit as well. Now, Harry wasn't meant to be down until tomorrow, and I got on the phone to him straight away. I said, look mate, where are you? And funny enough, he was driving past the lakes as I'd called him. So Harry's come down to film this little bit of a unit that's over my right shoulder here, and just incredible, can't believe it. So let's get this fish out and have a little look. Right, well here he is, an absolute result for February, just incredible. £30, 2 ounces this one went. I just cannot believe it, I'm almost speechless, just incredible. The fight was absolutely insane. This fish is freezing cold, and it just absolutely stripped line off of the reel from the minute I hit it and didn't stop fighting until it went in the net. Just absolutely incredible. What a carp for the cold months of February. Yes! 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 Get in there, yes!
Told you, as soon as you move that rod, see, one come in my swim and I caught it. Lee's been carving me up all weekend. Should we have a cuddle?
Yeah.
Oh.
Mate, you're going to lose this one.
I hope I don't see
you
you
you've
again.
got Furby. You'll never lose another fish.
I just want to say, you've just caught 2 fish, right? And from the second you picked the rod up, all you've done was whinge about how you think it's going to fall off.
Yeah, because I'm scared.
Why are you scared?
Pressures of the cameras, Bart. Here we are with a fish that they call Delilah at £38 something ounces. I can't even remember the ounces. I don't really care, to be honest with you. I'm just absolutely blown away by this. Right, well, Harry had left yesterday after filming that 30-pounder whilst he was passing, and he's come back this morning with all of his camera equipment, and I've had another result. Unbelievable. Last night at about 10 to 6, the left-hand rod had gone again, same rod that I'd had the 30 yesterday on, and I had a 22-pound mirror, so being so early in the daytime, I just put him straight back. But this morning, the right-hand rod's gone, so totally different spot, and I've had a proper unit. Just, again, blown away. February, freezing cold, winter fishing, and I've got something here a little bit special. There she is, all 35 pounds, 1 ounce of her. Just absolutely amazing, incredible looking carp. And for this time of year, to go anywhere in the country and catch a couple of 30s on your first night is just, wow, I'm blown away, totally blown away by it. And on a different spot as well, which is nice. So I've got a couple of spots rocking now. So, I mean, what an immense looking creature. Thank you, Orchid, and thank you, this beautiful bar of gold. Yes! Mwah! Right, well, as you can see, I've taken shelter in the Alamo swim shed. The rain is coming down quite a bit now. I'm actually soaked through from putting the rods back out earlier. But it still looks good for it, I must admit. If anything, it looks better than what it did yesterday. And yesterday I had bright skies, it was bitterly cold, even there was ice in the margins. So it's looking a lot more carpier today, but the rods have been a little bit more quiet than yesterday. So whilst I'm sort of sat here in the drizzly rain, I thought I'd recap on a session 2 weeks ago that me and Mark Bartlett had in here. Quite an epic session that one was. It was actually my first time down in the swim, or down to Orchid, and my first time in the swim, obviously. And Bartlett had got here the night before me, and straight away Mark had lost one in the swim in typical Mark Bartlett fashion. So we had we set up, got everything sorted in the swim, and basically straight away Mark started having fish, you know, from the off. I think the first night he'd had a couple of 30-pounders, he'd had a few 20s with that as well. I was just sat there not catching anything, so after Mark obviously teaching me how to fish, because I've never caught fish before obviously, and I decided to poach his swim and started catching them. So yeah, it was as easy as that really. But the fish did move round on the last morning into my water, luckily enough, and I managed to catch myself a 38-pounder that session, along with a few more 20s as well. So just incredible for the end of January, just unheard of, you know, just insane. I've never had a session like that in January before ever. So fast forward 2 weeks on, I've come back down to Orchid, and luckily enough for me, someone was leaving the swim as I arrived, so I've got back into the Alamo swim. And the beauty of having the swim mapper app is the fact that I know exactly where all them spots are out in the lake. I know where Mark's spots were, and I know where my own spots were. Basically what I'd done is you take a photo of the swim, and then with the marker sticks that you can use on the app, you can place them on your horizon markers and know exactly where you need to be aiming for. Also with them sticks, you can write down exactly how many wraps it is out to the spot. You can even write, you know, what is there on the spot, whether it's clay, whether it's silt, whether it's weedy, gravelly. So with that in mind, I've got my swim mapper app up. Straight away, I know exactly what horizon marker I need to be pointing at. I know exactly what wraps to wrap it up at. I've put a lead on quickly, chucked it out there, checked that the spot was clear, and it was just as clear as it was 2 weeks ago. So the fact that I wasn't leading around for 20 or 30 minutes and quite possibly pushing the fish out of the swim, I was just chucking out there straight away, knew exactly where the spots were, and the bites come instantly for me. I'm hoping a little bit more of the same might happen today, even though it is February and I've had a couple of 30s anyway, but that carp greed within me has kicked in, so I'm hoping and praying that the rods might sing sometime soon. Right, well, unfortunately nothing's happened today. Still raining as well. My confidence isn't too high in the rain, but you know, it's one of them, it's carp fishing. I'm confident in the rigs and the bait that I've put out and the spots. You know, I'm happy with everything. I just think that this rain's killing it a little bit. So hopefully if it eases off, which it's meant to do a little bit later on tonight, might bring the fish back on the feed. So yeah, you know, it's fishing, it's carp fishing at the end of the day. That's why we enjoy it. You get the highs and you get the lows. So I'm really, really hoping that something might happen tonight, and fingers crossed we might have a fish or two. Right, well, I've had one. The right rod has gone into meltdown after explaining to Harry how epic the battles are on here. Unfortunately, like most things at night for me, it was all over a little bit too quickly. Basically what had happened is I hit into the fish, and within minutes the fish was in the net. It just swam straight towards me. So I've got a lovely scaly fish waiting in the sling for me. What I've done, I've rechucked the rod, tied a new rig on, rechucked the rod, and we've got a lovely scaly looking fish for us waiting in the sling. So let's get it out now and have a little look. That is lovely. He is lovely. All right, yeah. Right, well, here he is. What an immense looking creature, just totally blown away. He went 20 pound 10 ounces in the end, and I caught him on a rig that's just done me a phenomenal amount of fish this winter. It's just been incredible. It's a maggot rig, and I'm spotting loads of maggots over the area as well. It's not really something that I often do, but it's worked for me this time, and I just couldn't be more chuffed. Fish number 4 on a February session. Just blown away.
thinking of my people that be early morning. New revelation matches early dawning. There's a reason ain't been subbed out the game, no early calling. So I gotta succeed with my goals. Winning, not the term that's used like by them hoes. Killing mine, talking V5 on my phone. Driven like I got a V5 for the road.
Well, unfortunately, nothing's happened since that beautiful scaly 20-pound mirror this morning. The weather is totally different from the day yesterday. Obviously, we had a lot of rain and it's now bright skies. There's quite a cold wind that's pushing in. Probably not the best sort of weather that you would want on any winter water, but for Orchid, it's perfect. This is the exact same weather as I had when I first arrived and had that 30-pounder within 10 minutes of getting here. So I'm really, really hopeful for another bite today. Only got a few more hours of this session left as well. So what I'm gonna do is just briefly run you through the rigs that have caught me a few on this session. This is the Maggot Rig that I've been using this session, and straight away you'll see that it's a little bit different from the norm because there's two hooks there. Now what I've done is, where you would normally tie your hair on your rig, I've actually tied on a size 14 match hook. So basically the reasons for this is I can now feed on two maggots with ease. So one goes on first and then I'll put my second one on as well. And what I've been using is a little mesh bag. Now, the beauty with a little mesh bag is you can now actually hook through the mesh of the bag and then pull that hook down into the plastic corn. And once that goes in there, that never ever comes out. You really, really struggle to actually get that hook out of the plastic corn. So straight away that will trap itself onto the little mesh bag. And then that allows you to use your fishing hook straight into the mesh bag as well, and it keeps the two separated so that when you're casting it out into the lake, it will not tangle. So running through the rest of the rig, I've got a little rig ring on there. I'm using a size 5 short shank curved hook. The actual rig material is a Camotech soft in 20-pound. 2 blobs of putty there just to help pin that down. Right, so moving up to the lead system that I'm using, I've got a tungsten tail rubber on here. I'm using a lead clip system with a 4-ounce lead. I'm using one of the naked line tail rubbers because a lot of day ticket waters, they have either a leader band or a lead core band. So I'm using the Transcarkey in 16-pound right the way through. And that tail rubber, I've never ever had tangles whilst using one. Just above the lead clip system, I've got 2 blobs of putty, and that just keeps that main line pinned down in the feeding area. So that's the rig that I've been using for the maggots. And the other situation on the left hand rod, which has already done me a 30-pounder and another 20-pounder as well, is I'm using corn, maggots and hemp out on that spot, and I'm actually pouring some of the hydro wheat liquid into the spot as well. Again, putting five spods out onto the spot. If a couple of spods stray off of the spot, then I'll just make sure that 5 go dead in the area. So the rig that I'm using for that, exact same lead system that I'm using on the maggot rod, and the rig for it is this here. It's a D rig, and the material for it is a Transcarkey in 20-pound. It's quite a stiff material, so very anti-tangle. I'm using one of the tungsten tail rubbers. I've got a bit of putty dead center of the rig to help pin that down. And coming up to the D section, I'm using a size 4 SSC hook, slightly bigger than the maggot rig because I like that hook to be pinned down on the lake bed, and it's the perfect weight to pin down that wafter. So the wafter sits like so. It's a bright yellow PB wafter, obviously matching the corn that I'm putting out on the spot. It's a rig that's already done me 2 bites already, and there's still time for it to do me a third. Right, well, session's come to an end. I'm stringing it out for as long as possible. I've got the rods lying on the floor. I've been saying to Harry all day, it's gonna happen, but unfortunately it hasn't. A couple of 30-pounders and two 20-pounders in the middle of February, well, can't grumble at that. So a huge thank you to Marsh for letting us come down to Orchid Lakes, just an absolute epic venue. And yeah, until next time.